It starts with my wife slipping on her high heels every morning, grabbing her black leather bag, kissing me goodbye with a smile, and walking straight into a life I knew nothing about. We've been married for 6 years. Her name's Claire. She's smart, charming, ambitious, and has always carried herself like someone who has her life together. She used to work in marketing, or so I thought. Her job was her pride. She would tell me stories about meetings, clients, presentations, and workplace gossip. Honestly, I loved that she was passionate about her work. I believed every word. I never doubted her for a second. I had no reason to, until recently. Things started changing about 8 months ago. Subtle things at first. She began coming home later than usual. At first, it was 6 p.m., then 8 p.m., then 10 p.m. I asked if everything was okay, and she'd always respond the same way. Just a rough quarter, tight deadlines, more responsibility. I didn't press. I trusted her. But then, one night, I woke up to an empty bed. It was 2:12 a.m. Claire wasn't home. No text, no call. Just gone. At 2:47 a.m., she walked in holding a grocery bag and smelling faintly of perfume and wine. When I asked where she'd been, she smiled casually and said, "The team." Stayed late at the office for an impromptu brainstorming session. We ended up grabbing drinks, and I crashed on Kelly's couch for a bit. Didn't want to wake you. I wanted to believe her. So I did. At least, for a while. The next week, I decided to surprise her at work. She'd left her wallet at home, and I thought it'd be a nice gesture. She always talked about her fancy agency office, Vera and Company, a sleek marketing firm she claimed was in a downtown high-rise. But when I got there, something felt wrong. The lobby directory didn't list Vera and Company. I asked the security guy. There was no company. No Vera and Company. No sleek marketing agency. Nothing. I didn't confront her that night. I couldn't. I didn't even know what to say. Instead, I started watching more closely. Claire always kept her phone on silent. Always face down. And she had started getting texts at odd hours, like 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. When I'd ask who it was, she'd shrug and say it was just work. A crisis with a client, a campaign falling apart, some urgent decision. Her answers were smooth, practiced. But then I checked our credit card statements. There were no Uber charges. No coffee shop runs near any known office building. No office supply stores. Instead, there were hotel charges. Dozens all over the city. 3-star hotels. One-night stays. Odd timings. Why would my wife, a woman with a supposed high-end corporate job, be checking into dingy hotels twice a week? I confronted her. She smiled, laughed it off, said she and her coworkers sometimes booked rooms to work late together in peace, since the office was too loud. Said they did off-site brainstorming. A lot. It didn't make sense, but she made it sound so normal. I didn't want to be the paranoid husband, so I let it go again, but I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I did something I'm not proud of. I put a small GPS tracker in her car. The next morning, Claire left at 7:58 a.m. sharp, dressed in a gray pencil skirt, blue blouse, hair tied back, heels clicking against the tiles. She kissed me on the cheek and said she had 3 back-to-back meetings. 30 minutes later, I opened the tracking app. She wasn't downtown. She had driven to a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of the city, not even near any office parks. Just regular houses, small, modest, residential. She parked in front of a red brick house with a faded white fence, and she stayed there all day. I refreshed the app every 20 minutes. Her car didn't move. At 11:12 a.m., I drove there myself. Parked half a block away and waited. Nothing. At 2:17 p.m., I saw her through the kitchen window. She was laughing, wearing slippers, no blazer, no laptop, just at home. Like it was her place, and she wasn't alone. A man stepped into the kitchen, tall, clean-shaven, maybe early 40s. He kissed her on the cheek and handed her a cup of coffee. She smiled, like she belonged. I sat in my car for nearly 2 hours, frozen. My heart wasn't racing. It wasn't breaking. It was numb. At 5:38 p.m., she left the house, got into her car, drove home. At 6:10 p.m., she walked through our door, kicked, off her heels, and said, "God, you wouldn't believe the kind of day I had. Total chaos. I'm just glad to be home." I nodded. I even smiled. I didn't say a word. Not yet. The night after I saw her in that house, I didn't sleep. Claire was right there beside me in bed, scrolling through her phone like nothing had happened. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her in that kitchen, smiling, laughing, kissing that man's cheek like it was the most normal thing in the world. And I just kept asking myself, what is that house? Who is he? Why is she lying? I thought maybe I was overreacting. Maybe it was family I didn't know about. A half-brother? A cousin? Maybe she was helping someone. Maybe she was ashamed of it for some reason. But deep down, I knew. This wasn't family. This was something else. The next morning, she left again in full office gear. Another busy day at work. I didn't even wait 30 minutes this time. I opened the tracker. Same destination. The red brick house with the white fence. Same car parked out front. Same lie. I drove there again. Parked across the street. Watched. Waited. This time, I didn't just sit in my car. I got out. Walked right up to the house. My heart was hammering in my chest. My palms were sweating. I didn't have a plan. I just knew I needed to see it for myself. I rang the doorbell. There was a pause. Then footsteps. The door opened. It wasn't Claire. It was him. The man from yesterday. Tall? Casual? He had a mug in one hand and looked at me like I was a delivery guy or a lost tourist. "Yeah?" he asked. I swallowed. My voice cracked. "Hey, sorry to bother you. I think I've got the wrong house." He just nodded, like that kind of thing happened all the time. "No problem, man," and closed the door. But not before I caught a glimpse inside, a pair of women's heels near the hallway. Claire's heels. Black with the gold buckle. The same pair she'd left the house wearing. I walked back to my car like a ghost. That night, I didn't mention it. I just watched her. She made dinner. Told me she had a new client pitch tomorrow. Said her boss was stressing her out. The way she layered lies over lies. It was artful. Like she'd done this 100 times before. After she fell asleep, I started digging. I had her full name, her college records, her old resume. But when I tried looking up Vera and Company, nothing came up. Not even an old website, not even a LinkedIn page. Her online presence was weirdly clean, too clean. Even her social media accounts hadn't been updated in months. The last post was an anniversary photo. Our anniversary, captioned, 6 years down, forever to go. I felt sick. Then I had an idea. I went through her old email, the one she used before we got married. She still had it logged in on our shared iPad. I searched for keywords. Job, agency, interview, pay stub, and then never been hired. And she'd been pretending ever since. The next day, I followed her again. This time, I stayed longer. I watched her go in. An hour later, they left together, her and that man. They got into his car. He opened the door for her. She laughed, touched his arm. They drove to a park, walked around, got coffee, sat on a bench like any normal couple. They looked happy, and I just sat in my car, watching my wife hold hands with another man in broad daylight. Not hiding, not scared, just living. That evening, I sat her down, and I asked, not about the man, not about the house, about the job. "Claire," I said, Can you tell me again where your office is located? She blinked. What? Your job. Vera and Company. Where exactly is the new location? She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Why do you ask? Because I went to the one you told me last month, and the one before that, and neither of them exist. Her expression froze. She didn't speak for a full 10 seconds. Then she laughed, a cold, fake laugh. You've been checking up on me? I didn't say anything. You don't trust me? She asked. Now her voice was sharper. I finally looked her in the eyes and said, Claire, just tell me the truth. Are you even working at all? She stared at me, the confidence she always had. It cracked, and then she whispered, No. Just like that. One word. She told me she lost her job over a year ago. Said she didn't know how to tell me. Said she felt like a failure and panicked. That one lie turned into 2, then 10, then a whole life built on fiction. So she made up a company, made up co-workers, made up meetings and fake deadlines. Every morning, she got dressed up and left the house, and then spent her days at cafes, in libraries, or sometimes at his house. At first, it was just a guy she met through a local networking group, someone who helped her figure out what to do next, someone she could talk to. And then, she said, it just happened. She fell for him, but she never wanted to leave me. She wanted both lives. I didn't say a word after that. I just got up from the table, walked upstairs, closed the bedroom door, and locked it. I didn't sleep, because now I had a choice. A very big, very painful choice. 3 days passed. Claire tried everything. She apologized, cried, wrote me a letter, a long one, 8 pages. Said she didn't know how to untangle herself from the mess she'd made. But the part that messed with my head the most? She claimed she wasn't in love with him. Said he was convenient. Said he made her feel capable again. That she wasn't proud of it. That she hated herself for it. But she was just lost. I didn't know whether to believe her or not. And I couldn't stop thinking about him. The man in that red brick house. The one who kissed her on the cheek. The one she laughed with over coffee. Who the hell was he? So I went back. I waited until Claire left one morning, dressed like always, tracked her car, watched her pull into the same driveway. She knocked. He answered. She went in. I gave it 10 minutes, then got out of my car and walked up to the house. Again. This time, I didn't ring the bell. I walked around to the side. The wooden gate wasn't locked. There was a narrow path that led to the backyard. It was quiet, too quiet, and then I heard voices. Through the open kitchen window, Claire's and his. Claire. He suspects everything. I told you we should have stopped this months ago. Him. Relax. You've been managing him fine so far. Don't panic now. Claire. It's not working anymore. He's been following me. Him. So? He's your husband. He's bound to figure out something eventually. Just stick to the plan. Claire, angrily. There is no plan anymore. You promised this would be over by now. My blood went cold. What plan? What were they talking about? I recorded the whole conversation from my phone. I couldn't catch every word, but what I got was enough. They weren't just having an affair. They were hiding something bigger. That night, Claire acted normal. Too normal. She made dinner, poured wine, asked if I wanted to watch a movie. Like, she hadn't spent the day whispering in another man's kitchen. I didn't confront her, not yet. Instead, I spent the night digging into him. I had one thing, his house address. From that, I pulled up property records. His name was Ryan Keller, age 42, registered therapist. At first I thought, wait, therapist? Then I checked deeper. He wasn't just any therapist. He was a career and grief counselor, someone who specialized in helping people rebuild their lives after trauma or job loss. That's probably how they met. I found his website. Professional. Clean. testimonials from former clients. Then I found his Facebook page. Public photos. And in one of them, posted nearly 2 years ago, I saw Claire. Not just a glimpse. A full, clear photo of the two of them at a charity event. Arms around each other, smiling. The caption read, "Proud to stand beside the most inspiring woman I've met in years." Claire's journey reminds us that failure isn't the end. It's a new beginning. And the hashtags: from grief to growth, starting over, second chances. My hands were shaking. She hadn't just stumbled into an affair. She had been rebuilding a life, a whole life, with this man. A public one. One where I didn't exist. I confronted her the next morning. I played the recording. Asked her who Ryan really was. That's when the final bomb dropped. Claire looked at me, pale, wide-eyed, cornered, and said, "Ryan was supposed to help me." I asked what that meant, and she broke. Completely. She told me everything. When she lost her job, she didn't tell me right away. She was scared, embarrassed. But worse than that, she'd also lost a large portion of our savings in a private investment she never told me about. An ex-colleague convinced her to put $40,000 into a startup. Promised her quick returns. She thought she could double it and surprise me with the good news. But the company collapsed. Everything vanished. She panicked. That's when she found Ryan, through a support group for professionals dealing with career-related anxiety. She started seeing him for therapy. At first, it was professional. Sessions, exercises, guidance. But then he offered to help her start over. Offered his home as a workspace, told her she could fake a job until she found another one, said it would ease her guilt. That's how it started. But Ryan didn't stay professional. He started flirting. She was vulnerable. One thing led to another. Eventually, she was splitting her week between pretending to go to work and staying at his place. She said it wasn't about love. It was about escape, about not having to face me, or the truth. But I was done believing words. So I went to Ryan's office the next day, sat in his waiting room, asked for a session. When I went in, I told him who I was. His face didn't flinch. "I'm not here to fight," I said. "I just want to know how much of this was you." Ryan leaned back, arms crossed, and said, "Your wife came to me broken. I helped her survive. Maybe it went too far. But she was never going to tell you the truth. That's who she is." I left without a word, but in my gut, I knew one thing. Claire wasn't the only one who lied. I didn't go home that night. I drove for hours, pulled into a motel off the highway, and just sat in the dark. Everything felt like a movie I'd been tricked into acting in. Only I wasn't the main character, just the clueless husband with no script and no clue. But one thing was clear now. Claire didn't just lie. She built a whole life on top of her lies, and she built it without me in it. The more I thought about Ryan Keller, therapist turned savior turned secret partner, the more questions I had, especially about the money. She said she lost $40,000 in an investment, but I never saw any record of it. No bank transfers, no withdrawals, nothing in our joint accounts. So where did the money go? I checked our finances again. She handled most of the bills, so I hadn't looked closely in months. But now I saw it. Small, consistent cash withdrawals. $500 here. $800 there. Over 14 months, they added up to nearly $42,000. And every time, she labeled them as personal expenses or loan repayments, none of which were real. That money was never invested. It was given to him. I hired a private investigator. Had no choice. I needed proof, not just for peace of mind, but in case this turned into a legal battle. 2 weeks later, the PI returned with a thick report. Ryan Keller wasn't just a therapist. He had a record. Nothing criminal, but enough to make your skin crawl. Formal complaints from 2 former clients, allegations of emotional manipulation, inappropriate boundaries, and even coercion. None stuck, no charges, but the stories were consistent. He'd done this before, found emotionally vulnerable women, gained their trust, and slowly pulled them into his orbit, financially, emotionally, sometimes romantically. Claire wasn't the first, she was just the one who stayed the longest. The final nail in the coffin came from a single bank slip. Ryan had recently opened a new account, and guess whose name was listed as a co-signer? Claire's wife was helping him start a business. Not a therapy clinic, a life coaching platform. She was listed as a silent partner. That's where our money went. She didn't lose it. She gave it to him. I confronted her with everything. The bank records, the co-signing, the false investment story. She sat there pale and trembling, like a child who got caught cheating on a test. At first, she denied it, said she didn't know he used her name, said maybe he forged her signature. But when I pulled out the notarized form with her thumbprint on it, yeah, that ended quickly. Finally, she broke again, but this time, it wasn't with tears, it was with silence. She didn't apologize, didn't beg. She just stared at the floor and said, "I never meant for you to find out. Not, I'm sorry. Not, I wish I could undo it. Just," she never wanted the truth to come out. That was it. That was her rock bottom. I called. My lawyer that night filed for separation the next day, blocked Ryan from everything, reported him to the licensing board. Don't know if anything will stick, but maybe someone else won't fall into his trap next. Claire moved out a week later, took some clothes, left the rest, no goodbye, just a note. "You were a good man. I just wasn't a good match." That part, she got right. It's been 5 months since then. Some days I wake up angry. Some days I feel nothing at all. But most days, I feel relief. Relief that I trusted my gut. Relief that I didn't keep swallowing the lies. Relief that I walked away before I lost any more of myself. People think betrayal is loud, explosive, dramatic. But sometimes betrayal is quiet, polite, wearing heels and saying, "Have a good day at work." I never caught Claire cheating in bed, but I caught her cheating in real life, and that was enough. The end.